And this is going to be a big development, I think, in the next couple weeks. But Ian Cunningham, the assistant general manager, is going to get interviewed again. And already the Commanders are showing interest. They have put in a request to interview Ian Cunningham, according to Ian Rappaport. This will not be the last request he gets. Remember, he turned down the Cardinals job, waiting for the right opportunity. And we can talk about this opportunity in a second, but as the Bears look at this big decision in front of them, especially when it pertains to the quarterback, the circle of trust, you'd like to think everybody in your building you can trust. That's not how it realistically works when you talk about big decisions like this.
I don't tell Braggs anything.
That gets narrowed down to just a couple, 2, 3, 4. We don't really know what it is. What I do know is Ian Cunningham is 100% in Ryan Poles' circle of trust. And if he all of a sudden leaves, and I'm sure Ryan Poles has a plan for this. Ryan Poles said last year after Ian Cunningham decided to come back that he basically expected him to be gone. So this is not a shock to anybody if Ian Cunningham moves on. But it does adjust the calculus and the evaluation process a little bit with him being gone. And, oh, by the way, if he were to leave for the Commanders, just for example, they have the number 2 pick.
So and they are looking at a head coach, right?
Yep.
So that kind of crosses paths there.
Right. That's exactly. Thank you for underlining. I completely. That's my look at it. What's interesting is the Bears and the Commanders are very much in the same place of things that they are looking at and could be looking at as far as the coaching spot goes. But look, so Ian knows how Ryan's been thinking about this probably better than anybody else knows how Ryan's been thinking about this. So could that work out that if he takes the job and they have some fun around with it? I mean, they'll be competing at that point, but it also could work out in some way.
Conference too.
Yeah, you know, so
that makes it even true.
It also makes you wonder how this has affected discussions that have already happened over the last few months.
Ian's
even like if they're on the road together scouting Caleb Williams.
Right. Ian's like, Ryan, that Caleb guy, got a lot of questions about him.
Well, but that is interesting. Like,
well, let's say hypothetically the Bears have already been like and I don't think this is the case, but maybe let's say inside that room they're like already leaning heavy towards Caleb Williams. And then Ian Cunningham goes and takes the Commander's job and he already has that information. Like, I don't think that's how it's been, but also, like, you work with somebody every day. Right. You probably have a feeling. He at least knows what Ryan Poles thinks of these quarterbacks.
There's no way that it's not like that. He's got to know exactly, as close to exactly what he thinks, unless Poles and Cunningham are that strategic. And
maybe they've already worked out a trade together.
I mean, the only people around here that are that strategic are you. So you'd have to. I don't think like that. I live more in the moment. And you're maybe you actually. You're always got an angle going on over there.
No, I'm a complete idiot.
No, I disagree. You've got nobody's built a network the way you've built a network except for Hoge. I'm literally the only one that doesn't understand these things. So congratulations to both of you. I'm going to hold it that it clearly would be competition and it'd be a little bit uncomfortable, but maybe perhaps somehow it could, in theory, just at least in this draft, benefit the Bears.
Then wouldn't it just be nice of him to go to the Chargers, I
mean, we've got the number 1. They've got the number 2. We're still in control if it goes that way.
Well, let's look at it from Ian Cunningham's perspective, he's obviously known for a while now. He's capable of getting a GM job. It's bold whenever you turn down that opportunity when they're offering you a job. Mm-hmm. But he turns down that Cardinals job where – they were resetting with a new head coach last offseason. Similar situation this year because no matter, all 4 of these jobs right now also come with head coaching opportunity or openings, I should say. I look at it kind of simply. If Magic Johnson is offering me a job, I'm probably going to take that job.
Well, okay, you've got Irvin, right? You also have a tremendous historic NFL franchise. You have an owner in Josh Harris who replaced the worst owner in the history of Washington, one of the top 5 in the history of the league in Dan Snyder. There's just a lot to like about that job. So, I mean, the roster ain't perfect, but any job that you get is not going to be perfect. And you're sitting there with the number 2 overall pick. So I would think that he would be looking at this in a way different way than he looked at the Cardinals job.
So in terms of what the impact would be here, I think it's a significant loss, but it's at least one that the Bears have been preparing for a while. I think it's way more interesting and fascinating where he ends up because, again, if he goes to Washington, the parallels between these two guys, these two friends, having the number 1 and number 2 pick just sort of makes this whole conversation we've already been having for months way more interesting and way more fun, quite frankly.
And terrifying.
Well, it's always going to be terrifying to you. I think it's fun.
It's both.
We all silly like the mayor.